and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You are joining your victorious host, Greg Thompson, and my live in-person partner in crime, Aaron Quinn. Aaron, how did the playoff glory feel in person?
That was cool. A big shout out to Eric Turner for inviting me. My voice is a little sore. We got some big third downs, guys, and it got loud in there and trying to help out. But what a vibe! I've been to a lot of games, Greg. I had season tickets for years. The team was never good when I had season tickets, and so I never experienced playoff football. And the weather was absolutely perfect day for football in Western New York. It was never too cold. The wind was good. And I was telling you offline, man, like at no point in this game, that whole place had so much confidence in this team. And the vibe was just good really all day long. What a day to be in Western New York. And I'm sure even experience it on TV. These are fun moments, man. We are living in the good old days right now, Greg. But tell the people why we're living in the good old days.
You are joining us live because the Buffalo Bills have dominated the Denver Broncos 31-7. And you may ask yourself, Greg, what do you mean dominated? I mean 26 first downs to 13. I mean 471 yards to 224. I mean the most ridiculous time of possession I can remember, 41 minutes and 43 seconds to 18 minutes and 17 seconds. It was an absolute domination. 261 passing yards to 145. 210 rushing yards to 79. The Bills put up 471 yards, 26 first downs, and 31 points against an awesome Denver defense. Like a legitimately great Denver defense. I think the best defense in the AFC playoffs and maybe behind Philly overall. Just an unbelievable performance to dominate them in the way they did. I know there was some nervous mafia who felt a little anxious after the play action touchdown early on, and Knicks hit the deep ball, but they didn't score again. They never ran a red zone play against us. They ran 5 plays in our territory in the first 3 quarters and then had a drive that ended in fourth down. They ran 10 total plays in our territory the entire game. We destroyed them.
Yeah, now honestly, like we'll break into all the normal stuff here, but it just, like I said, offensively, even on the drives they didn't score, it just felt like they weren't rattled, they weren't pressing, they had confidence that they were going to. It was just a matter of time. And yeah, outside of that first drive, that was the only moment that some energy came out of the stadium, like for that quick minute. But then you obviously kind of respond back to them. But yeah, after that, Babbage locked it down, man. This defense, all the narratives, and I get it. It's a rookie quarterback. It's not the best offense in the NFL, but this is an offense that had been clicking over the last months. And this is the type of offense that can stress some of the things about your defense. You know, we were all worried about the interior defensive line getting moved around. We were worried about the screen game, guys coming up and tackling. Defense answered the call in a lot of ways in this one. And Babbage, man, nothing else came over the top. Like, I think they wanted to a couple times, but it just wasn't there for them after that first play action drive, which I can't wait to go back and watch that one. That one seemed a little wonky and out of character for the Bills defense. But man, locked it down, clamped it right up after that.
Yeah, so some fantastic moments. Sessmaner here. Bills have now won a playoff game 5 years in a row, 4th longest streak in NFL history. The only other team right now doing such is the Kansas City Chiefs, and they need to win next week to extend their drive. Somebody here, I think,
had Patton with a good one here. He did.
McDermott coached the bleep out of that game. Prove me wrong. He was fantastic.
Had his guys ready.
Pulled all the right levers here, going forward aggressively early on fourth down with zero hesitation. I think was exceptional in the strategy on the time management. We had some folks in the Cover One Discord a little anxious about the approach because obviously the time of possession thing was very intentional. We were very much trying to keep their defense on the field, not let them have possessions and try to just trust that we were going to stretch it out. And I get the logic that, like, mathematically more possessions favors the better team because you have more chances to score and it's more likely we're going to score. So I get that. That's not the only path to victory when you can just completely impose your will on the other team. And honestly, it's such a game to game strategy, I didn't want to empty the clip against Denver. I didn't want to lay all our cards on the table and show everything here. We needed to do what we needed to do to beat them, and they dominated them, as I laid out at the beginning.
Yeah, I think they showed a lot. There was a lot of new looks. They ran out of some of that like pony stuff, that pistol stuff. They did a bunch of stuff, some motions. Got Curtis Samuel involved in this game. Obviously, he had the big touchdown, but before that, he was. I looked over at Eric and was like, "Dude, Curtis Samuel's been in on like every snap for the first like 3 series. Like they got him involved in the motion. Shakir was doing so they did some creative stuff. They took what the defense was giving them, and they were happy to live in that world of, hey, Denver's not selling out to stop the run here for the whole first half. And then even when they did, they struggled still. There was a couple of series where I think people probably got a little impatient into that second half when they were running the ball, but it had been working so well. Why would you just abandon it? That's something that I've been critical of Brady for in the past, is the second you kind of hit a wall in the run game, he will abandon it. He didn't at all in this game, and it continued to favor the Bills. And this is something that Kansas City has done well for years, where if you can just like bleed a team out and they're going to give you all these little plays and you can just work your way down the field and keep scoring. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. And your offense is going to go 3 and out. That's way more frustrating than them coming out and taking a bunch of shots. So they played right into what Denver was allowing them to do, and they took advantage of that. Having ways to win multiple styles of games is exactly what the Bills didn't have in years past, Greg, where it's like we could only win through the air. We could only dominate this way. Now they're so multiple and versatile, and that allows you to blow out a team in the playoffs like this.
I'm anxious now. So after I gotten on the other name on screen, I'm anxious now to make sure I don't mess it up. Alita's here. She's the person's right. The like button is right there. All you gotta do is hit it.
It is.
So as we go through this game, I think that there's some fair concern. They definitely ran the ball the most we've seen in a long time, and 44 carries to 26. There was a lot of early down runs, first down runs, second and long runs. So know those are my favorite. But in transparency, an awful lot of them were going for 5, 6, 7 yards. Like they were working. And then I think the important part is, if they only leaned into that, I think there's some fair concern, but they set that up and hit some huge play action shots in the second half. So people don't like to acknowledge that transition, that yes, they did set up the run and lean into it significantly early on. But the reason that this game was a blowout is because they set that up, because their defensive line was tired out, because they couldn't get to Josh Allen, because we had run the ball 44 times for 210 yards. So we were hitting those play action shots later on. So yes, I mean, some people want us to run play action on every first down play. So yes, maybe we could have done a little bit earlier, but they set it up incredibly well, and we were dominating the run. When I say dominating the run, 44 carries for 210 yards. James Cook, 23 carries for 120 and a touchdown, 5.2 yards a carry. Josh Allen, 8 for 46, 5.8 yards a carry. Ty Johnson, 9 for 44, 4.9 yards a carry. And until, sadly, you will check on Ray Davis, he got lit up on that.
He did get lit up.
One.
That was all Josh.
So he was getting blitzed. The blitz was coming in his face. He tried to loft it out there. I don't think it wasn't a good pass, but it wasn't like a hospital ball or anything hanging about to dry. It just ended up unlucky in the way that it was down the sideline on a wheel route.
In the first half too, James Cook, I forget exactly what the numbers were. I want to say it was like 13 carries, almost 115 yards or something, but it was 6 yards a carry. Josh was at 6 yards a carry as well in the first half, because a lot of this is also sneaks. I think he had like 3
without
sneaks.
The Trubisky kneel downs. We ended up at 5.2 yards a carry, 41 carries for 213.
Plus you had, what, 2 or 3 Josh sneaks?
Josh had 2 sneaks
in there.
I think a couple of them went for like 3 yards.
They did. Didn't
hurt the average too much.
But yeah, they were both over or at 6 going into the half, so it was working. Like, I don't know that, like, yeah, sure, could you throw a bigger play action shot in there in the first? Maybe, but they were setting up stuff all day long, and they put a bunch of stuff on tape today of some of that motions to Shakir, some of that action to Samuel and stuff that we talk about. I think Mina Kimes did a good job yesterday of showing how things open up, but Lamar Jackson in the action for Derrick Henry. And like when you see the dots and you just see linebackers follow those guys.
that one where they put Lamar in motion and you see
Yeah.
everyone flow with him, it was a really good visualization of what
Yes.
the power that it has.
That's what, even though they're not giving those to Shakir or Samuel in this game, they're getting those looks where you have to respect. You see, I guarantee you, the dots will show some guy shifting with Samuel and Shakir on those plays and getting them out of the way, clearing some space. And so they set up some interesting looks, I think, going forward. But I'm not ready to look forward. I want to savor
Yeah.
this for the next 12 hours or so and just
Yeah. Troy made sure to step in there. I'd say hi to my mom. She had a nice comment earlier.
nice.
So we talked about the run game, but Josh Allen was fantastic today. He actually, what's funny is he was 20 of 26, 272 yards, 10.5 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns. He actually had a couple misses that were fully on him. That missed the Ray Davis one was he was getting blitzed and was about to get crushed on that play, but the two in the end zone, uh, both of them early on, he had guys open that he missed. You know, the Amari Cooper one was right there. Amari beat his guy on the slant, had him for the touchdown. I'm drawing
There
a
was a
blank.
post in the red zone too where you would have liked to see him just put a ball out there for Amari
Yeah,
Cooper.
yeah.
There was a
He
couple of
missed
those.
Knox on the one right before Cooper. He had touchdowns on both plays. So it's really funny that he wasn't perfect today and still had phenomenal statistics. And his playoff bar is so high, like his yards per game, his touchdown average. I think 272 yards and 2 touchdowns hurt his average. I think that
Sure.
brought his average down. So it's always interesting the way that
It
happens.
is nice to be able to win games. Like, we're gonna need Josh to be superhero, go
Yeah,
nuclear Josh here at some point. It's nice to have games where you can win in those multiple ways and not
yeah.
need it to just be a Josh Allen where it's a 272-yard, 2 touchdown day feels like, oh, we would have,
Yeah,
dude,
meh.
in the drought, we would have loved that. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Like, gushing over a guy doing that. So
uh, Brian here saying Allen looked good, defense looked good, Cook looked good, Greg looks good, Aaron looks good. It's a good looking day. Hey,
yeah,
he's a smart man.
yeah,
From a receiving standpoint, again, everybody eats. Amari Cooper missed out on a touchdown. He beat his guy
yeah.
there. That should have been 3 catches for 15 yards and a touchdown, but it ended up just being 2. Curtis Samuel, 3 for 68, broke multiple tackles on his run. I know you were a huge advocate this offseason of what Curtis Samuel could be in this offense, and then injuries kind of took that away early on. We ended up getting that out there.
Yeah, I warned people if
Ahead of
he
time.
could get healthy for the postseason, there was still a big role for him if he's
Yeah,
healthy, and I think they showed that today that he's very much active in this offense.
for sure, for sure. Khalil Shakir, of course, as always, the exceptional weapon that he would be back to his 100% catch rate
Yeah,
days, 6 for 6, and making huge plays, including like some simple ones where
mhm.
that one screen should have been a 4 yard loss, and he somehow made it a 7 yard gain. Like it was him breaking 4 tackles to make a net 11 yards.
Yep.
That just plays like that
That
don't.
first catch of the day that he had, like, he was double covered. That was not a good that was
Yes.
great coverage. Josh put that ball in there with huge confidence. But and they just make it look so routine now that was a really tough
Yeah.
catch and throw, and they just made it look easy. And we're not there yet, but Khalil Shakir's impact in the punt game, I know there was a lot of concern about a Codrington being out. Dude,
Yeah.
he's so shifty. He makes it look
Not
so easy.
only very sure-handed, but had that 23-yard
Yes,
return
he
where
almost
he
broke that.
yeah, like, almost took it back to the house.
Oh,
So Steven, huge thank you here. Appreciate you very much. Andy has a
thank you,
super
man.
chat that we'll bring up when we get to the defense here in a minute. Um, Continuing on the passing day, Dalton Kincaid, great play, another huge coaching moment. Rushing those guys up to the line. Dalton knew he didn't catch the ball. McDermott was on that. You could see him like winding his arm on the
Yeah.
sideline, trying to get everybody up to the line. I don't have any idea what Sean Payton was doing that he didn't. Did he not notice that they were rushing up to the line and everything? Kincaid clearly didn't catch the ball. It would have been 100% overturned. I know you didn't have the luxury of seeing the play on TV, but on the deep ball, it for sure hit the ground underneath and like rolled around
I
underneath
did
him.
see,
It would have
yes.
been very
We saw the
quickly
replays. Yeah.
overturned on the 35-yarder. But great coaching to get them up on the line and rush that. Good job by Josh. Great job by Dalton being aware, and he ran the ball over to the officials. So super weird that Sean Payton wasn't on top of that.
Ready to
Um,
go home at that point. I think
yeah,
they got a long flight back.
yeah, that one was kind of the nail in the coffin. They were already
Yeah.
up 21 at the point.
Yeah.
Ty Johnson, 2 for 26. One of the most ridiculous catches I can remember seeing. Some of it's pure luck. I want to give him credit for like the body control and awareness to lift his feet up and not let his feet touch out of bounds. And I do think there was some awareness in there and probably just some awesome luck.
Yeah, you guys get some luck in these playoffs. That was a
And he like
crazy catch.
he captured the ball underneath with one arm, but he pinned it against his chest so it didn't move. So like I think he had possession for like a 1/100th of a second before his feet touched out of bounds. But I think it was the right call
Yeah,
to
that shin was
uphold it.
down, more importantly, that we've
Oh
learned
yeah.
that this year, right? The shin's down, he's
Oh yeah,
in.
no. The knee and shin were inbounds. It
Yeah.
was, did he like maintain possession or did he touch out of bounds and then he secured possession? And I think he had it. So
Yeah, it looked good.
they called it.
They
The
watched
play
it.
stood.
Mhm.
Again, that was a huge one on fourth down. To be able to lock that up and
Dude, we
what
were
could have.
screaming at Josh to run it because it
Mm,
was, what, a 4th and 3 or something
yes,
like that?
yeah, for the
And
two.
it looked like he had the run, and we're like, and then it's just classic Josh of like, we want you to do something, you do something totally different, and it's like, holy shit, that's way better. That was way
Yeah.
better. Let's do that. That's
Yeah,
great.
let's do that thing. That
Yeah.
was even cooler. So I know that was another one where some people like they ran out of shotgun. That was on 4th and 1. It was like a fourth and a full one, maybe even like 1.25 yards. So I don't know if maybe it was just long enough not to do the snowplow. But you know. So Eric chiming in here. AQ was an animal at the game. I'm surprised he has a voice. Shout out to Eric hooking people up with tickets and getting set up for an awesome game.
It was a fun game, man. It was
Yeah,
fun
it's
to cheer
fantastic.
for.
Huge shout out to the offensive line. Zach Allen had 1 sack. There was also another one that was a coverage sack later on. It wasn't a
Yeah.
blown one. Zach Allen is a monster. They had I think the early tracking has it at 8 pressures on the game total, which is way below their overall average. The 2 sacks was way below their
Mhm.
season long average, and the offensive line, when you add in the 5.2 yards a carry, the dominating run blocking, and then keeping Josh clean. Spencer Brown didn't give up a single pressure
Yeah.
the entire game. This was
And
an
he
awesome
let
offensive line game.
Yeah, Spencer Brown was letting Jonathan Cooper know all day
Yeah.
that he was not giving up. That's the one thing, like when you're live and you can see him in those TV timeouts. The Spencer Brown, I would not want to play against him and get dominated all day because he is going to
We
let you know.
we had a poll going in the Discord. Who is going to be first to be ejected for unsportsmanlike conduct? Is it
Yeah,
Mac Hollins, Alec Anderson, or Spencer Brown? Like,
yeah,
I think there's you can get pretty good odds, and I'm not sure which one I would bet on out of
yeah,
those three.
for sure.
So now flipping over, our man Andy had the super chat earlier as we flipped to the defense. There was only 2, I noted it down twice, but there were 2 open field plays where Matt Milano had to chase somebody down and beat them to the spot, and he beat them both times. He had 2 more where he sniffed out a play and all of a sudden had those plays where you see like the cluster of people and all of a sudden you're like, wait, how did Matt Milano get on the other side of the line of scrimmage already? How did he knife through there to do that? He had 2 more of those. So I think 5 tackles and 1 sack and 1 quarterback hit is misleading for Milano. I thought he was very impactful in this game. I know there are a lot of Dorian Williams fans out there. I'm super happy that he's our third linebacker. Today is exactly why Eric had that video breakdown that he did, explaining that, hey guys, the flashes are still there. You should still have the confidence in what we're
He's only
doing.
getting healthier. Like,
Yeah.
he's still
Today should have been super encouraging for everybody. And Terrell Bernard was awesome.
Terrell
Terrell
Bernard was
Bernard was
awesome.
all
He's
over the
gonna get
place.
one of these picks one of these days, man. He is right there every time. It's so athletic of him. He's those are gonna turn into
And
picks.
him tipping a ball out of the way on 3rd down basically is a pick. Like it's
Sure.
the same idea. Like he's ending the possession
Yeah.
for the other team. So
Unless they go for a fake punt and then no,
yeah,
but we're not there yet. We'll
yeah,
talk about that in a second.
don't bring me down.
Oh
Um,
man.
thankfully, Taron Johnson came back in. I did watch his interview in the post game presser while you guys were driving back. Said that it was his neck that he was worried about. Said
That's what I was
wasn't any
thinking.
concern for the concussion, but that his neck hurt and he's sore. So he
Yeah.
said he just got crunched. He just got
It looked like a stinger to me.
yeah, it like literally like compressed his helmet back into his shoulders on the replay.
Yeah. That was a
to
scary moment, though.
Oh,
That place
yeah.
got quiet real quick
Oh,
when
yeah.
Aaron
Well,
went down, like
the 2 moments, so one, he was down face down kinda awkwardly, and it was just because he was down and it hurt, and then Ray Davis,
yeah.
like, certainly to a layperson, it looked like he was out cold
He
there for a
did the
minute. I
fencing
was
thing for a second.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was shocked how quickly he was up and walking to the locker room, so we'll see how that one goes, maybe a Frank Gore Jr. elevation next week, I don't know. We'll have to
Mhm.
keep an eye out for that. And then the secondary, obviously blown coverage on the first drive. Taylor Rapp just did not, he just didn't think that they were going to go deep because he did not turn and run until it was too late. And, Troy Franklin or Marvin Mims, it could have been either of them. This one was Franklin. They're both fast enough that you can't, you're not going to chase them down
Yeah,
from
he was a
behind. You're
full
just
step and a half, 2 steps
Yeah,
behind
you're just
him.
betting on a bad
Yeah.
throw, and he guessed wrong and got caught guessing and just got beat deep. So, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously, it doesn't actually matter. It's the only points they scored the entire game. They
Sure.
didn't score again the entire game. They never ran a play in our red zone. The defense was awesome today, but
Yeah.
that play was not acceptable. And
No.
we're not going to be able to afford plays like that in Baltimore and Kansas City. You can't afford to let guys behind you like that.
You're gonna have some of them continuing going
Yeah.
forward. I think they just caught him in a part of the game script they wanted to catch a shot in. It looked like Rasul and he were kinda, like, going back and forth after the play. He was yelling at him a little bit of, like, he was off coverage in some way. So that's one I definitely wanna go back and look
uh
at. But Eric's
Andy here. I loved what McDermott and Babbage put together. They were doing a lot of 3-man defensive lines where Milano, if you weren't paying attention, it looked like a 4-man front, but the fourth guy was Milano, and then he would wait and float and spy Knicks. It was after the frustrating scrambles. They were
Sure.
doing some of those. But it worked really nice. And it was, we haven't seen a lot of 3-man defensive lines with this group, and they mixed that in where
Yeah.
Milano was the fourth guy in the front, but he would take a step back after the snap and then float and spy Knicks.
Yeah. Eric said after that first touchdown too, he's like, they're not gonna get beat again.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
happened. Wash it. That's not happening again the rest of the game. And he was right. It didn't. Something that I really enjoyed seeing that I want to go take a look at tomorrow is some of they brought Rap on a couple blitzes. It looked like they brought Hamlin on a blitz. He had a nice big run stuff on a blitz on one play. I thought both of them, outside of the one blown coverage, I thought the safeties had a really nice game in this one. Hamlin came down, laid the hammer on a couple plays, stuff that people will praise when Cole Bishop does it. And then, they're only looking for those mistakes by Hamlin, but I thought he played solid too. Benford was a dog. He was all over the place, breaking up passes. Like there's probably, I saw maybe 2 to 3 interceptions that should have been had in this
Yeah.
game. And they just didn't get their hands
Didn't
on
we have
them.
2 overturned?
2 were overturned. Yeah.
um, if you
And
give up 224 yards, 13 first downs, 2 of 9 on third downs in a
yeah,
playoff game, you played great defensively. Like those are great overall numbers to hold the team to from a
yeah,
defensive standpoint. Um, Even with the big bomb play, they only had 5.3 yards of play. So definitely very much in
yeah.
control
I'm
of
seeing in
everything
the
that was
chat
there.
that people are saying Hamlin was terrible on the blitz. I thought he got a couple run stuffs on
Um,
blitz.
he
Like,
he got picked up by the running back multiple
sure,
times. Like there were multiple times where he got sent and didn't get home.
sure.
I think a couple of them
So are
at
our
least
linebackers
hurried
this
up.
year. Yeah,
Yeah, I think quite a few of them hurried up the clock for Knicks.
yeah,
So I don't think they completed a ton on those, but there was one bigger one to Sutton, I remember. Um, but there were definitely multiple, and I think in a frustrating time, there was a couple in a row on the same drive that
sure.
he got picked up and didn't get home. And it just the way the camera angle was, that was exactly what you watched from the broadcast view was you
Yeah,
saw Hamlin coming in, him get picked up, and Knicks get the throw off. So I get what they're talking about. It was a small sample size of some
sure.
of those, but still some of those hurried up the
I think the
processing
fact that
for
they're
them.
bringing up safeties to blitz is good. Sending more people, trying to generate pressures and stuff like
Yeah.
that is a good thing. Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch it. I didn't think it was
Yeah, it was
horrible.
no,
And he
there
came
were
up on run blitzes a couple times. He had to run stuff and
yeah,
stopped a screen pass on
yeah.
a blitz once too. So
Yeah, I
I
think he
mean,
was
take some, you lose some.
fine in general.
Yeah,
I
one of the
the same
problems with
neither
the
the safeties were
Bills
the issue.
one of the problems with the Bills, somebody saying Taryn didn't get home. A lot of times they would blitz on a run play, and they would blitz on. It would be like they would run to the weak side or something like that, and so they ran away from the blitz, which is also like just tough play call, and they called the right play to go against it.
We also have to get out of the sense where the only successful outcome on a blitz is a sack. Like that's not
Right.
like a lot of these plays that people are like, yeah, they didn't get home were forced bad passes for incompletions, a
Yeah.
couple of them on
Same with
third down.
Vaughn. Vaughn
So like,
pressure.
some of those plays, like, yeah, is it cooler if they get the sack? Yes, I wish they got home every time and got the sack
Yeah.
every time. But hurrying up, and yeah, John Doe here,
Right.
very smart man. John Doe is always a smart guy.
Mhm.
They were trying to confuse the rookie quarterback, and they did. Like, that's
Yeah.
how they got off the field on some of these. So again, it's better if blitzes get home and you set them up just right, and they're an untouched blocker. But when you hurry up the processing for the quarterback and he has a bad pass that leads to an incompletion, and you get off the field on third down, it's
Yeah.
almost as
Vaughn,
good as a
people will
sack.
probably be mad Vaughn didn't get his sacks, but he got him off his spot a few times and
Oh
forced
yeah.
some bad incompletions. Like those things matter. They might not matter against Lamar Jackson's and Patrick Mahomes's as much when you're playing the elite QBs, but like we just played a really good team that pressures the quarterback a lot and gets to the quarterback a lot, and they also didn't get our guy, right? Like you're in the playoffs now.
Groot looked fantastic. Dwayne Smoot looked fantastic. There was a play where Groot got held like 3 different times
Yeah.
on the play that was pretty rough. Ed Oliver was having a lot of disruption and movement in there, and again, for especially the fact that they scored first and that we didn't jump out to huge scores, and that they had a pretty favorable game script for, they ended the first quarter with the lead. And that being in that kind of spot, it's kind of surprising that they weren't able to get more going in the run game. They ended up 17 carries for 79 yards. They never got anything, and 43 of those were Bo Nix. Like he had, and I think 3 of those were on the same drive later in the game. So being in a spot where the rest of your team um, ended up with 36, 13 carries for 36 yards. That was the rest of their team besides the Knicks scrambles. So I was kind of surprised that they didn't try to get more into the run game. And also, our biggest fear in this game was them on the screen game. And Terrell Bernard just kept blowing it up over and over again. Like they couldn't
Yeah.
get anything up. He was sniffing it
All
out
over.
every time they tried to do it.
Yeah, and one of them too, like, Groot was there, Ed was there, like, they just knew what was coming on some of
Yeah.
those screens, man. They had their number the whole day. I think I was concerned that Sean Payton offense is exactly how you attack this team, and he'd have some stuff dialed up that was maybe more to attack this team, and he just really didn't. They seemed to have the beat on it. And exactly outside of that first drive, they had the beat on what they were trying to do all day.
Yeah. Yeah. So huge shout out to Carl. We appreciate you very much,
Thanks,
man.
dog.
Very kind to you. Um, let's switch over and do our drive by drive
We are
recap.
not going to talk about special teams.
Um,
Mm-mm. We don't have
well,
to.
so you want to know what the annoying part is?
It wasn't bad.
We 90% of it was very,
Yeah.
very good. So we had an awesome punt down
Yeah.
there where Mac Hollins destroyed their returner, which I still, for the life of me,
Why would you
Mac
turn
Hollins is
around?
coming like a freight train. You can see him. For the life of me, why, my poor man, why did you not fair catch? Like Marvin Mims, what are you
You
doing,
can't turn
man?
around. I don't care if guys coming or not. You can't turn your back
Holy
on a punt. You just can't.
holy crap. It was crazy. Like I don't understand.
That's how you bust
Uh
like a liver or
dude,
something.
he
Like
got
that is
lit up.
that is a not a
Tyler
good
Bass
hit.
was perfect, 5 for 5 on his kicks, 3 for 3 on field goals, 2 for 2 on extra points. Khalil Shakir was perfect. Nice clean catches every single time, 1 fair catch and 2 returns. Johnson looked great. All of the special teams was great, except how did we not know they were going to try a fake at some point? I won't lie, I didn't expect it in that moment either. It's why surprise punts work, but I'm a guy on a couch. Matthew Smiley is a really, really highly paid NFL coordinator. You're supposed to be ready for that. Literally, the thing Sean Payton is most famous for is a surprise special teams
Yeah.
play
Everyone in
in
the
the Super
stadium
Bowl.
knew it. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, man? So
Especially in the spot that it was because it's like midfield-ish. And so
it was kind
it
of almost a go for it. Now, again, kudos to the defense. Um,
it was tough.
they they stopped them 3 and out right after that. After the extra possession, they caused a punt anyways.
Mhm.
When they punted it down to the 1 yard line. But yeah, a little odd.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
yeah.
Smiley's gotta
So
go.
Pat here saying that NFL Pro Next Gen Stacks had Bo pressured at 52% of his dropbacks, highest of the season. And again, that's a really good offensive line in Denver
Yeah,
that we
and
talked
that's what
about in
I'm
the
saying,
previous
like,
show.
yeah, they might have some good blitz pickups, and they might have some good moments, but that's a great they Bo Nix wasn't heated up. When I watched the film, like, dude had
Yeah,
time. Today, he didn't have that kinda time, and
yeah.
he was able to do
They
some
got him
stuff
off
with
the
his
spot over
legs.
and over.
Yeah, no, sure, he got a couple first downs with his legs, but the game was, like, pretty wrapped by the time he started doing anything significant, so
So again, we know how the game started. Super nervous mafia script. We get
yeah.
a 5-yard run, and then we get a 3-yard stuff. Gregory Rousseau blows it up on second down, get them to third and long. Okay, we're feeling good here. And of course, Bo Nix finds Cortland Sutton for a 19-yard gain on third and long, and we give up a third and long, and everybody's like, grumbling. Javonte Williams gets a 6-yard run, and then they hit the play action shot. They run no huddle, they come up in a rush, and they showed it on replay. It wasn't a double move or anything fancy. It was just play action in the backfield, and Franklin ran straight up the seam in between Rasul Douglas and Taylor Rapp, and Taylor Rapp's responsibility is the deep guy, and he just waited too long to turn and get on his horse. And by the time he realized he needed to go, the ball was already out of Nix's hands and in the air. And at that
Yeah.
point, you're not catching up to an NFL receiver who's already
No.
behind you. All you can hope is for a bad overthrow or a really embarrassing drop, and neither
He's
happened.
no, dude, he's got a nice long ball, Bo Nix. That's one
It's a little Russell Wilson ish. Like
yeah.
I don't know that I think Bo Nix is going to be some awesome long time, pro, but he's got a little like Drew Brees is way over. I think Russell Wilson is the comp. Like he's good at that dink and dunk short stuff, and if you have guys that are making plays, and then he can scramble a little bit and he can uncork a deep ball, and that's how Russell Wilson was successful the early part of his career until he got old and no longer athletic.
Yeah.
But I think Bo Nix has some weird Russell Wilson energy to
We
him.
were right on that goal line, and that ball was just perfectly placed, like, it just went right over the
Moon
head,
ball.
only where he can get it. It's just that's a nice ball. Even if Taylor
Yeah.
Rapp was in good coverage on that, I don't think he's doing a whole
He
lot.
might have
Plus,
still
yeah,
dropped it in the bucket over his head. He
yeah,
might have still done it.
it was a nice ball.
Yeah. So then the frustrating part was we answered back with a really like dominant drive back and
Mhm,
forth. That ball you talked about to Shakir and like triple coverage or right
yeah.
off the bat for 15 yards, then James Cook for 16. Like this entire drive was positive play, positive play, positive play. Cook went for 7. Shakir back to Shakir on the quick screen for 6. Then a quick one to Kincaid for 5. Just kept moving the ball down the field. Even got to a 4th and 1 where zero hesitation immediately went for it. Converted on the tush push to kind of keep moving forward. Here, I do think opening up early on, was on Josh. Like these were not bad play calls. He misses Knox. He misses and throws over Amari Cooper, who had his guy beat on the slant. We end up settling for the field goal, and it's kind of like, all right, I feel like we gave up a fluky one. We now only got a touchdown. We know 7s, not 3s, is so huge in the playoffs, and it felt a little deflated, and it fed into a lot of the nervous mafia energy at that point. But the defense comes out and immediately gets stuffs and turns that energy around very, very quickly with the sack from Milano, beating him to the sideline spot when he certainly thought he was going to scramble for it. That was the first play I noted where, that was a play a couple weeks ago that I'm not 100% Milano would have beat him to the spot the way that he did.
Yes, and I don't know that he's gonna beat, uh, Lamar Jackson to the spot, but nobody does,
Yeah. Yeah,
do
nobody.
that,
I don't
so,
think we have
like
anybody in
yeah,
defense
that I
beats
don't know
Lamar to the
that
spot.
playing a spy against Bo Nix is a lot different than playing a spy, next week with a mobile quarterback, but, his ability to be able to do that and that he can still be the guy that does that was nice to see, that he can still move sideline to sideline, and come up and make that play. That was a good play by him, and a great sign going forward from him.
And here I'm gonna. It's early on, but I'm gonna call this my West Herr drive of the game. This is one where I think in the moment it was because of that nervous energy and everything that was there. we have the combination of that three and out stuff where the excitement from Milano, we get people are nervous about the punt return. Shakir has a nice catch, just dips along the sideline for a couple extra yards, nice and simple. And then we come out with a 13 play, 81-yard drive that goes for 7 minutes and 35 seconds and takes the last 5 minutes of the first quarter and another 2 minutes into the second quarter and just keeps matriculating the ball down the field over and over and over again. Besides a weird penalty, it's just positive plays over and over and over again. One incompletion, but otherwise it's just 5 yards here, 7 yards there, 7, 9, 5, 2, 9, and then the James Cook touchdown, which if you had told me ahead of time that James Cook was going to hit Cody Barton at the 2-yard line and carry him into the end zone, I did not have that on my bingo card. And somebody in the Discord channel said, I don't think James Cook scores on that play 2 years ago. And I agree. Like that, he's really added a nice toughness and contact balance to his game. So shout out to our folks over at West Herr, Bradley and the entire team there. Awesome to work with. As we always tell you, the biggest auto dealership in New York State, one of the biggest employers in Western New York. Great people for all your automotive needs. Head over there to check them out. But that's my West Herr drive of the game, an early one today, because I really thought it was important because of the energy, the game script, everything else going on. Yep. It was a critical spot to have that 3 and out and then flip right around and get them into that touchdown drive. And 13 plays, 81 yards, 7.5 minutes. That's a nice one.
Yeah, and it felt like the story of the game. Even on that first drive, like they really felt in total control and kind of stalled out a little bit, but it didn't feel like Denver stalled them out as much as they kind of stubbed their own toe a little bit on offense. And so then to see them get right back out there, the defense gives them a chance to get right back out there, which is nice. That's some complimentary football. And then they're just doing what they want and taking what they're being given. And I said it on, I don't know if it was the matchup show or I talked so much this week that I don't know where I said what I said. But I talked about like, man, I really hope Brady with, being the favorite and if things don't go exactly as planned in the opening script, like don't get away from what I think is going to be able to work, which is running the ball. And he didn't. And in this drive, he really showed he wasn't going to get away from running the ball. And this was awesome being there, Greg, sort of anecdotally is when they ended the first quarter ended in the middle of this drive or towards the end of the drive, and they flipped the field, and that became down the area of the field where Eric and I were sitting. So I got a great video actually of the touchdown that I posted to Cooks, and right along the goal line. It was awesome. And Mac Holland's brother was like a row up and over from us. He called it. He's like, oh, the quarter's ended. They're coming down to score over here. And they did. They like a couple plays later, they came down and scored. So that's a great drive to have as your drive of the game, because I do think it really showed this is how this game is going to go the rest of the time. The defense is locked in and the offense is doing everything they want.
Did Mac Holland's brother have shoes on?
He did, and I gave him a shout out. I was like, "Yo, for your brother, for a guy that doesn't wear shoes, he's got really nice cleats. Like he when he does have to wear shoes, he picks really good ones to wear."
Yeah, good for him. Good for him. So here, the next drive, again, this is the weird one where we had the fake punt coming up, but they do get a first down early on. They get Bidet and Mims get a first down on the first couple. That's also where we have the Taron Johnson injury, so everybody's real nervous there.
Correct.
They just miss on a deep shot to Courtland Sutton that certainly felt like it was close. That's the one that I think Bernard tipped away. Mm-hmm. Then Javonte Williams picks up 2. They take another deep shot to Sutton here. It's 3rd and 8, and I think that there's a lot of distraction when there's an incomplete deep play because everybody's kind of looking down there and you're scrambling and nobody's really paying attention back at the line of scrimmage. So great job by by Sean Payton and by his special teams coach. It's 4th and 8 at the Denver 43, so you're kind of in that little bit safer zone.
Yeah.
And Jamarcus Ingram wasn't in terrible position. He just was ready to be a gunner blocker running with the guy, and it just turned his shoulders. And he turned back quickly, but he wasn't in position to guard basically a quick out on that play. And shout out to Riley Dixon. Pretty nice pass from a punter to kind of fake the kick and then to throw the ball. Good for them.
That situation, it's situational football though, Greg. So what's going to happen when you're punting from midfield? The most likely scenario is it's going to be a touchback or it's going to go into the end zone.
I
getting
would love
back
to
to
see a safe call and like almost run kind of normal defense with
press,
Shakir
just like
back there.
press those gunners even. Like if you're gonna
Yeah.
have the gunner or the blockers out there to block the gunners, have them right up on press. Don't get back and try to beat them. You're not gonna get a good return on this. And that
Yeah.
was the thing I think that frustrated me is like, dude, where's the awareness? Like, Peyton is gonna pull out something in this game where he's gonna try to steal a punch from you. And this was like kind of signaling as a spot to do it, where, like you said, it's kind of a go for it spot for a team that just gave up a touchdown. You're looking to steal a possession in this game, and it just felt like situationally you just got to have those guys more ready for it, or at least in their head, like, hey, it looks like they're going to go for it. It felt like not a surprise at the stadium that, like, oh yeah, of course I mean, we're playing hindsight, but it's like, yeah, of course that's the spot to do it. And just frustrating that they, again, I don't know that 95% of special teams was good, but it feels like it's always that situation where they get it wrong. And just it feels like an ongoing habit with the special teams.
Yeah, definitely frustrating. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely frustrating. And to give that up again, we brought this up a couple times. Shout out to the defense for coming
Coming
around
back
here. Those
out. Yeah.
quick changes when you were just on the field
You think you're
and come
done.
back. This happens on like muffed punts and other things. When you have the unexpected quick change, teams give up scores so often
Yeah.
because you're not prepared, you're tired, you just got off the field. There's kind of this deflated momentum turn where, God, we just got off the field, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
So for them to come out, the big play being Terrell Bernard sniffing out that screen pass to Mims where he blows it up for a 3-yard loss, it gets it back to 3rd and 7. Von Miller gets pressure. That's the one where the spin move happened and he almost got the sack.
Ooh.
Nix gets the ball out just in time to try to get a play to Cortland Sutton, but it doesn't really have much of a chance. And then that, it's at the 39. So you're talking about like a 56-yard field goal, but I was pretty shocked that he punted there. Like 4th and 7 at the 39. That's like real no man's land where 4th and 7 isn't a great spot to go for it. A 56-yard field goal
You're
isn't easy,
down
but
3,
Lutz is pretty awesome.
and
Like
you're
Lutz
down
is a pretty
3.
great
That ties it.
kicker. You're a significant underdog. Like you're a 7.5
Yeah.
to 9.5 point underdog. It was just a weird spot. I don't think there was an obvious answer, but I'm pretty sure punt from the 39-yard line was 3rd out of the 3 options.
I'm
Like
not sure what the percentages are, but I do know out of all the playoff coaches, I think it's like Harbaugh and Sean Payton are the ones that are making the
maybe
least
Tomlin,
amount
maybe.
of right choices on 4th downs, and that seems exactly what happened here, where you probably
Even
picked
with
the
the
worst
result,
out of them.
he got exactly what he was looking for. Like he punted it
Sure.
down to the 1-yard line. You can't ask for a better result, but like, okay, congratulations, I
Yeah,
guess.
you've just seen this Bills team just drive up and down the field on you twice in a row here, where it's like, do you really want to give them back the ball? I mean, obviously, playing the results, they were able to force the Bills to punt, but man, yeah, it seemed like an opportunity where you really wanted to tie this one up. If I'm the Broncos, but you will say it all the time, right? Whatever, think about whatever
Whatever,
the
yeah, the
opposing
real
team doesn't want
analytics
you to
is do
do.
what the other
Yeah,
team's fan base doesn't want you to do.
correct,
I wanted them to punt.
correct.
That was the
Yeah,
real analytics.
yeah,
I wanted them to punt, so that was not the right analytical choice.
yeah.
Um, the next drive is a weird one because I think some people will be frustrated because anytime Josh Allen doesn't score a touchdown or put points on the board, it feels like a failure. But 11 plays, 39 yards, and 6.5 minutes off the clock is a successful drive. Like you completely flipped the field, you moved it
Yeah.
back the other way. Like that, and on a regular touchback for off a kickoff, 39 yards is a 48-yard field goal. Like, so to give people the idea of how, like, 39 yards doesn't sound that big. If you do a 39-yard drive on a regular offensive drive, you're kicking a 48-yard field goal. Like that's you're all the way at the other 31.
Sure.
So it's a favorable one. So starting off at the 1-yard line, they get a 9-yard run right off the bat. Then we end up doing the tush push after an incompletion. Get a nice little play to Curtis Samuel again. Just more positive plays. 3 yards to Ray Davis. Josh scrambles out of bounds for 4. Hits Amari Cooper for 5. James Cook for 7. Cook for 2. We take a penalty here, and then this is the one where the combination of the penalty and then the one play Zach Allen just straight up beats David Edwards. Zach Allen is an absolute stud. The fact that Edwards only got beat once with that interior defensive line today is great. That's a fantastic one. So now you're at 3rd and 21. There's no good scenario at 3rd and 21. They get actually a decent chunk of yards, 13 of it back to get it to 4th and 8 so that we can punt there. And here's where we get, Mac Hound's coming down like a freight train. And then quick shout out. I know that Reed Ferguson already put a tweet about it, but I said it live in the Discord while we were watching. Like every whole snapper goes down to get the ball after a punt because it's the K ball and he doesn't want it mixed back into the game balls. So like he wasn't trying to talk trash or anything. He was just trying to get his K ball. Like that's all he was trying to do.
Right.
So like I think Mims was mad because he just got destroyed and lit up on national TV. So then when Reed was trying to take the ball, I don't think his brain was processing that, every single time after a punt, I give the other team the ball back with the K ball. So he thought that, I don't know, Reed was trying to talk trash or take it back, but it was just funny that like Reed Ferguson triggered a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Literally Mr. Nice Guy on the team. He doesn't say swear words. Like it's just such a funny situation. But shout out to Reed for triggering a 15-yard penalty on top of that. It ended up being like a 7.5-yard penalty. I think it moved it back.
I think what was frustrating to me about this drive was, again, just the feeling of confidence that they were doing so well with moving the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And to your point, they took that 6 minute. When they first got it, I was like, oh, let's score quick and then get another. Like there was still time where if you go down and you score quick, even if it's a field goal, we can get another possession here in this half.
They started with 8.5 minutes, so there's very likely multiple possessions.
Yeah, but then when they started like bleeding the clock down, it's like, well, okay, we can just actually run. This could be our double dip, and we can run this right into
the penalty sack combo. I thought they were going to run the last 8.5 minutes off the clock on a 99-yard drive. I really thought that's what they were going to do.
That's like stuff I used to do to my brother in Madden, where it was like, you can't stop me, and I'm just going to take 8 minutes off the clock and wrap this game up. Like, which is so embarrassing for a team to. And that's where I thought it was trending, and that's what frustrated me about it stalling out here with the penalty and the sack was. You really had a chance to make this more of a game, and it's still 7-10 at this point, even though you feel in control, your defense is locking down. It's like, okay, but now let's get that arm's length that I always talk about, and we can go into the half with a nice arm's length. And I felt like obviously the results is, they do go down and miss a field goal here, but if they get that field goal, even not getting the field goal to end the half,
10-10 would have felt deflating. It would have.
10-10 would have felt really deflating, but I felt like that even going into half at 7-10 was a win for Denver. Like if you're Sean Payton and it's 7, like, okay, well, we didn't get blown out in the first half, even though we did. Like the defense locked us down and the offense moved the ball all over us. They had a ton of yards. Like if that made me feel like we should have had a little more. And it was just, stumbling out a little bit on this drive. And it's nothing really the offense did on this one. Denver, they played good after they took advantage of you getting deep with the penalty in a 2nd and 13 and made it like, just you don't have a lot of plays for a 3rd and 21 that are going to get you what you want.
Patton's on fire here. Someday Matt Collins will be a legend of the game and lead the entire stadium in some kind of chocolate water meditation. It's going to be great. I did another comment in the Discord channel, which if you're listening to that and you'd like to come join us in the game day, you can go to cover1.net/onepass and join as a OnePass member and come and jump aboard and join us in the Discord. It was fantastic today. He's jumped to weirdly maybe the top of the list. Like if you talk about value, cost, return on investment, he might be my number one priority in re-signing this offseason. Like I really feel like he's going to be back and is going to play in Buffalo until he retires. Like I think he's got 2 or 3 more years left, and I love him being our wide receiver 5, special teams guy, unofficial trash talker, and chief vibes officer.
Yeah, he's everything Trent Sherfield was supposed to be for this team and wasn't. And dude,
we've tried that guy a couple times, and this was the best one.
And we finally hit it, and they want it in the offense. It's a big part of the offense. And we should have seen some of it coming because like every single time they would talk about the everybody eats, and Josh Allen would get on Good Morning Football or whatever the show was. The first word out of his mouth would be like, "Oh, Mac Hollins," and I would always be like, "Really? Like that's the guy you're?" But he's like, he does everything. He does everything right, and he's always where he's such a benefit to this offense, and you really see it. And it's not just the offense; it's special teams. He's part of everything.
his run blocking is phenomenal, and when they needed him on the one play, he beat Patrick Surtain
Yeah.
in man coverage for that 19-yard play down to the 2-yard line, and then got called for unsportsmanlike conduct. I believe the official term that they did it was he had a, emphatic step over there. You can't have an emphatic, step over the
Yeah.
defender,
That
which is
stuff's gotta go. I
just
mean, it's
funny. It
football,
was that
dude.
was so comical,
It's
and,
a violent
again,
game. Let him step
he
over him.
talks a lot of trash. Like, Matt
Yeah.
Collins talks a lot of trash, like,
All the
maybe
Bills do. I
more,
that's
but
one thing I noticed live today is, like,
Alec
they're
Anderson,
so
Spencer Brown,
annoying.
like, we talk a lot, a
Yes.
lot,
Yeah.
and Matt Collins is right up there. Those 3, like Josh does here and there, a lot of the guys do here and there in the moment. Dalton Kincaid does a fair amount. Those 3, Alec Anderson, Spencer Brown, and Matt Collins talk every
Dion.
snap.
Dion talks a lot.
Dion might be 4th.
Yeah,
Dion might be
Dion's right
4th on
there.
that list.
There's a lot of talking.
A lot of
But
trash, a lot
hey,
of
when
trash.
you're doing the kind of stuff that they're
Eh.
doing, I mean, you wanna shut them up, come try it.
Um, I will say that last drive of the first half, like, Bo Nix looked pretty good in the no huddle.
Yeah.
They were moving the ball a little bit, scrambled for 12. Nice play to Courtland Sutton for 11. They got a defensive holding, and like as the clock's running down, but ended up that pass along the sideline to Courtland Sutton, like that was a dot in the honey hole. Like that was in a really, really nice throw. And oh, it was very kind. WNY support saying, I've learned so much from the Discord, and Greg and Earl will answer legit questions you have versus making you feel dumb for asking it. I do make some people feel dumb sometimes, so I apologize. But most of the time, I'm pretty patient and, and answer a lot of the questions. Mostly it's nervous mafia energy that just annoys me on game day. But today was mostly fun. It started out a little rough, but we got there. So as it got down there, that dot up the sideline to Bo Nix or Bo Nix to Courtland Sutton was a great throw by Nix, maybe
Mhm.
his best one of the day besides the touchdown moonball. And I was like, oh man, and I really thought it was going to be 10-10. And how loud was the doink in the stadium? Could you hear it doink in the stadium, or was that just the mic'd up thing on the TV?
Yeah, I couldn't hear, but I was on the opposite side,
Okay,
and
okay,
it was loud. Everyone was screaming loud, so I didn't hear the actual doink, but I could see it real clear,
okay.
and that was
Um,
fun.
Because I mean, they talked it up. There was definitely an announcer jinx. Will Lutz had not missed since November. Like he
Yeah,
had not missed a kick in almost 2 months. And as Ron here says, also a Discord member, that kick from that doinked was a bomb. That was like 3/4 of the way up the goalpost from 50 yards and hit it hard
yeah,
and shook the entire goalpost.
yeah.
And they had it mic'd up great on TV because you heard a loud, like cartoonish doink, like really deep, ringing one. It was funny.
Yeah, no, and honestly, like, there wasn't a lot of wind today either, like, it didn't
Yeah.
seem like, the most
Which must
difficult
have been great
day.
for you and Eric because
Yeah,
that's the worst part
honestly.
when it's cold is the wind is miserable. When it's not windy,
No,
it's totally tolerable.
it was nice today. It was a little chilly in the morning when we got there, then the sun kinda came out. No, today was a perfect day to be there, at the stadium, and yeah, not a lot of wind, so, shocking, really, 'cause Lutz has been good. They're one of the better special teams, DVOA teams too, and just tough miss for them. Because, like I said, I think you still feel like you got a little bit of a win going into half, 10-7. But man, if you could have tied it up going into half, you feel real good if you're the Broncos. So tough for them to finally get in range because they did not get into even field goal range much this game. So to even get there and not walk away with points feels so like a huge loss for them.
Yeah. So here again, a moment where while it's close, you feel like you have the opportunity to really get that arm's length that you're talking about. Ty Johnson opens up the second half with a really nice kick return. Looked like he was going to break it, similar to Shakir's that comes up later on here, but gets it out to the 36-yard line right off the bat. First down, 6 yards. And this is what I was talking about. Like a lot of people wanted play action on every single first down, and the reason that they kept running was you get the 6 yarder to Cook, you run again for 6 yards. Now it's first down. They're coming up and getting ready um, stop the run again. Dawson Knox had so much room at the second level on this play action on the second first down that like when he caught it and it went for 25 yards, there was no one around because of the run game early, the dedication to it, and they made the play action hit like this later on. So, again, I wouldn't mind a few more sprinkles, maybe a little bit earlier, but this is a great example of exactly what that can provide. Then James Cook breaks one for 19, which I thought he was going to score for a second as
I
he
know.
went over right tackle, got it for 19 yards. Then a couple more in here again. Like this one was kind of weird, and like the first run at the 8-yard line, I'm okay with. Um, you know, when you're inside the 10-yard line, I want the ball in Josh's hands as much as possible.
Eric and I were saying it.
Like
Yeah.
we ran the ball for 2, and then the second and goal run from the 6, I don't know what play you're setting up there, that unless you just think you have the right look that you think you're going to score on that toss when he tossed it to Cook around the left end.
And they've scored on stuff like that in the past, especially against these man teams. And so Denver did a good job on some of these plays too. Like I don't want
Sure.
to take anything away
But they've
from
good
what
defenders, yeah.
they have good defenders too on that side, and they get paid. I have a tough time with this, Greg, because like I defer to like when you're in that space, like Josh is such a weapon. Let's make linebackers make a choice. You
Yes.
either come up and defend Josh or he passes right over you. I think there's too much of an easy button that they make it a little harder on themselves than
Yeah.
it necessarily has to be. Like I hate to nitpick because you just want to blow out
Yeah.
game, but in those spots it feels like, man, I always try to put on the defensive coordinator hat, and I don't know how you stop Josh Allen rolling out to his right with
And
like a Kincaid coming
James
across. Yeah,
James just had a good comment there. You know, credit to him. Like Cook does have a lot of
sure.
touchdowns inside the 10-yard line this year, so that is
Yep.
totally fair.
Yep. Won his first
He's
one, right? You were just talked about
Yeah,
him
correct. That
carrying
was from
Cody
like
Barton in 3
six
yards.
yards,
Yeah.
5, 6 yards out there. He carried Cody Barton in. So I think it was the back-to-back runs
Sure.
that got me, is that I just don't want to. And what happened on third down, which was a coverage sack like that, I think DJ Jones technically got the sack, but it's because Josh kept looking for a guy to
Yeah.
get open and just couldn't find anyone. So it was a coverage sack. You want to give Josh multiple stabs at it because like that could happen. So if that's the call on second and goal, and now it's third and goal from the 9, you still get another crack at it and try. When you get it down to you only have the one third down play, you just limit your
For sure.
possibilities here. So again, I'm playing the results. If James Cook takes that pitch around the end and runs in for a touchdown, everybody's celebrating and it's cool.
Sure. But I don't know. Eric and I
But
were every
I
time we got
want
in the
Josh
red
to have the
zone.
ball in his hands.
Yeah, a lot of times in the red zone, we were, and this defense kind of makes it so you want those looks to Josh, and we just didn't
Yeah.
see enough of it. I don't think where he's such a weapon in that space, and I get it. Like again, maybe playing the results, people want to see him take hits. They don't want to see running Josh Allen, but those are the spots to me. Is like you're in the postseason, you're close to the end zone, like get him out going. It's just unstoppable to me. And maybe they're saving it. Maybe they're saving those looks as we get further down here.
So the next 10 minutes of game time was the real reason the spread was what it was, the real reason that, you know, most informed people were picking us as a confident win and having us in their confidence pools and things like that, because it goes 3-and-out touchdown, 3-and-out touchdown.
Yeah.
And this is just really what lined everything up here. And I'll give a perfect example. They start out with 2 runs for 5 yards, and on the third down, they're trying to run no huddle. We get some pressure on Bo Nix. He misses Troy Franklin. It's 4th and 5, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we just had the ball for 1 minute,
Yeah.
and you're trying to figure out what's going on. They punt the ball to us. This is where Shakir has a nice fair catch, nice and sure hands.
Yep.
And now we start to get some of the stuff going. We get a quick run on first down, but then we get the screen to Shakir for 13 yards on second down. You get the Ray Davis run, but he gets called back on holding. So now we're at 1st and 20. Josh gets a chunk of that back, and now we get the play to Ray Davis where he gets lit up and we get the unnecessary roughness, which Jones took credit for it right off the bat, and went over and checked on him, and felt bad for the spot that he was in. I never know intent, so I don't know. Like a lot of people said they thought it was dirty. I don't. It's hard to know in the moment. It was for sure illegal, and he knew it was
definitely
illegal right off
yeah.
the bat. I don't know that I thought it was dirty, but I don't try to guess unless it
Although it
looks
looked like
blatant. I don't usually assume that it was intentional.
at the game, I don't know if like somebody started talking trash to him or something. It looked like there was some like yelling, and team had to hold him back a little bit from each other after the fact. So I don't know if there was some of the Bills players took exception to it.
Sure,
I could
sure.
see that
Yeah.
being the case. But This was a tough one. I do think Josh laid him out a little bit. It's the right read. Like he had the hot read, but it was a little high. It was a little lofty. It was a little out ahead of him. And you got a player that has to just lay out in that scenario. Not a lot of good things happen in a scenario where you're laying out like that. And it's a bang bang play. I think it's sort of similar to how people were mad at mad at Jordan Poyer for the Keon Coleman hit. And it's like there's just not a lot of ways the defender can do it, and it happened so fast. I really don't think it was intentional, but it didn't look good. It from our view, it looked like he did that like kind of bringing his arms up, and it was good to see him pop up though, because they brought that stretcher out for a second. It's like, oh no, that's not good. So he popped up. And I wish him nothing but the best, because that didn't look like a very
hopefully he's
pretty
okay. I won't be shocked if he's in concussion protocol. We'll find out more.
I would
Matter of
think.
fact, if anybody in the chat finds out that there's any update on his status, I don't know if we know that yet.
Outside of that, injuries seem obviously Perrin got that stinger or
There's
something.
two of them. Yeah, I
Alec
actually
Anderson had a calf but came back, right?
Both of them went back in the game. So the guys who went back in the game, I feel reasonably good about. But I actually got a nice
waking
post.
up on Monday can be a lot different sometimes.
Ty Johnson's going to feel not great. He cleared concussion protocol, but questionable with the neck. He returned. Alec Anderson had a calf injury late second quarter, but returned in the early third quarter, played the rest of the game. Cam Lewis had a concussion check, but returned to the game. Josh Allen with the nasty hangnail that ripped off his thumbnail. And was
that would ruin me for like weeks if my nail just got ripped off. Dude.
Yeah, I'd have to call in sick if I had got that ripped off.
I'd go to urgent care,
Josh would be fine. And then obviously Ray Davis, I think. So I think
we made actually it out okay,
but just like
Ray Davis,
Brandon Codrington, Brandon Codrington was a good example where we didn't know that after the game last week, and that popped up. So we'll wait and see what the reports are there.
Even when Hamlin got hurt, right? We didn't. It was like 2 days after the game where they're like, "Oh, like you are hurt." So yeah, I think we'll see a little bit here more Monday, but it seemed fairly clean considering you're in the wild card round.
So again, we have first down run, but then we come back with a play action pass to Knox, get him again, take a deep shot to Coleman on the first down here, which I like. They took a play action deep shot to try to. So again, they were trying some of the first down play action. We'll see it on the next drive. They hit on a couple nice ones, but then we end up getting the second down. We get a pass to Shakir that gets it down to 4th and 1, and then Josh just keeps it alive. I think I saw. From one of the Buffalo News guys, Josh was in the pocket for 6.7 seconds before he gets the ball out of his hands. And Ty Johnson again with the ridiculous catch in the back of the end zone on 4th and 1. Probably made it more difficult than we needed to. And then Josh also finds Keon Coleman for the 2-point conversion. So now all of a sudden they had been hanging around all day, and boom, it's 21-7. You compound that with another quick 3 and out. They could do run, pass. You get 2 runs. We get pressure on him. Bo Nix gets lit up before he tries to uncork it to Mims, misses him deep. And now you actually get the nice return from Khalil Shakir, 23-yarder that it almost looked like he was going to rip for a touchdown.
Yeah, and so I'm going to actually play off of that because this is complimentary football between the defense, special teams, and offense on this series here. You got a good stop, and I thought the defense played really well. I'm sure that there's some things they want back and certain plays they want back, but as a unit, thought they played really well, and you continue to see this. 3 plays, -1 yard, and you get the ball back. You get a nice return. This one's not the longest drive of the day, not the most dominating drive of the day, but this is what...
Real quick one. Every other drive of the game, besides when they ended the game, was 5 minutes or more. Correct. The only one that wasn't was this one because we scored so fast that it was a minute 17, but every other one they took 5 minutes plus off the clock.
But that's why this is my drive of the game, because I was still a little bit on Twitter throughout the game, and I saw the complaints. I saw the people being like, "Oh, we're not taking the shots, we're not getting it." And also, I also wanted a moment here to just let everybody know that I was right again, and that's important to me because I'm wrong a lot, and I admit it when I'm wrong, right? And so when I am right, you're going to hear about it from me.
These backs aren't going to pat themselves.
Absolutely, dude. And this was Brady and Curtis Samuel here. I mean, dude, you saw it at the stadium live. He had a full 2 to 3 steps on his man, wide open. You saw the play. This is something they were setting up.
Broke 2 more tackles after the catch. Really good contact balance.
Yep. And I'm pretty sure Surtain was right there. Like that was a great play drawn up by Brady.
A couple people in the Discord thought it was on Surtain or that he was near enough. I'm not sure 100% who was in coverage or who was there.
Yeah. Again, being at the game, it's hard to like dial it back and look. Sometimes I'll like do that when I'm watching live and it goes to commercial break. I'll rewind it and just take a look. Don't have that opportunity,
Yeah.
but it did look like Surtain was right there. Either way, no matter who's there, just a great play, good contact balance, takes it in. And this is, I'm so happy for Curtis Samuel on this one, Greg, because he's gotten so much flack from fans of being a bust. And we're so quick to like apply those
Yeah.
labels. And I know he got more money than the other wide receivers did this season, but it wasn't his fault. He got turf toe and then got another injury. Like maybe he's injury prone. I can't speak to that, but it's been a tough season for him and it hasn't lived up to his expectations or ours. And so for him to come through in a moment like that and just really, you put this game away, you're like firing up Mr. Brightside here. Like everything's going good. This is where Eric and I are like, all right, let's get in the car so we can get back and
Yeah.
watch it. Like the
Thank you for
game's
that.
over. You've wrapped it up. And kudos to Brady because he really set this up all day long to take these deep shots. And people sometimes just have to be patient. Like when it's working, allow the offense to run because it is pulling guys up. It's pulling guys.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to sell out. And then when they do, you've got this. And the Bills having like you didn't even need an Amari Cooper to make these big plays in a game like this. You have so many options, and getting Curtis Samuel going, getting that confidence up for a guy like this could pay dividends down the road in bigger games.
100%. It's a great call and a great choice for a Western drive of the game. That combo, especially with defense, special teams, offense, the definition of complementary football.
Yeah.
Great choice by you, my friend.
And then you get even more defense here with a turnover on downs.
Yeah.
Just dude, they locked in.
Yeah.
They
So
just
this one, obviously, they were in desperation mode. They got a couple first downs. There was some frustration here because you had some of the scrambles, where
sure.
the Bills were playing kind of keep in front, where their only chance to come back here was more of those deep balls to Franklin or Mims. So they're keeping everybody in front of them. They did make an adjustment after this to switch over to have the spy on Nix. But early on, they were dropping people back. He was taking the quick chunks of yards. So it was frustrating that they moved down the field. There was 18, 13, 11, 11. And that two of those were scrambles. Two of those were quick passes. And it was just keeping everybody in front, coming up to tackle. And that was too fast. Like there's no scenario where giving up 4 straight plays like that is good.
Sure.
It's not. But that's what they were trying to do. Like, hey, just keep everybody in front of them unless they get some quick turnovers or deep plays. They can't come back. You're up
Yeah.
28
Nobody
to
thought they were going to
7.
score 3 times. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, come on.
And literally up until that point, they hadn't run a play in Bills territory in
Yeah.
like over an hour and a half on the actual clock.
Yeah.
So they get up there. Now Christian Bedford comes up, blows up a play to Mims. You get an incompletion, you get him to 3rd and long, they get a chunk of yards where Cortland Sutton comes up. You have a really nice tackle by Bernard Johnson to keep him short, where he gets it to 4th and 2. And now they run a weird play, like a quick out to Jaleel McLaughlin, and like he kind of tries to turn up field, but Cam Lewis like sacrifices his body, takes a great angle. I would like him to maybe keep his head up a little bit better. Like he got his own bell rung pretty good here, but
Yeah.
again, he deserves all the credit. He took an awesome angle, and he's the reason that this play
Goes.
ends up being a turnover on downs, but
Yeah.
ends up sacrificing his body there. And I didn't check; it was late, so I don't know if he came back in the game after that. But we'll find out more about him. Make sure he's okay. He did pass concussion protocol, but he still might be sore because he got
A little
rocked pretty
sore.
good.
Yeah, and he's a guy that that's probably the guy I've been most critical of on the defense is like I know the Bills like the way he plays, Ingram too, like they play the right way for what the Bills want to do, but that's a spot where it's like, all right, let's get Cole Bishop in on those dime looks. Like I want to see more him and less Cam Lewis, but the guy does make plays in spots and he continuously does it. So shout out to him when he does. He plays bigger than his size, which is I guarantee you McDermott loves that.
I mean, the only thing I can ask of a backup is when you are needed, can you make the play in the moment? And he did there. Like, I'm
Sure.
not expecting him to lock up slot receivers every single play. He's not
Sure.
Taron Johnson. But if you're needed in a pinch, can you come up and make a play when we need it? And that was an awesome angle. And Jaleel McLaughlin is one of the most electric athletes on that roster. And for him to beat him to the spot where McLaughlin clearly thought he was going to be able to turn the corner there, and just was not ready for it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cam Lewis to be able to make that play in that moment, gets the ball back, and now
I
the
thought
Bills
this
just
should have been
completely.
Mitch time, but I was a
Um,
little, but I get it.
11 minutes left in a playoff game.
I
It
know.
is, I, I wouldn't have been upset if they took Mitch out or took Josh out and put Mitch Trubisky in at that point, but
Which
we
is
do see one
wrong.
more drive.
I know.
And they are now literally just milking the clock,
Yeah.
trying to work their way down. But I will say on this drive, they ran play action on the first play. Josh ends up scrambling. They hand off a couple times to get the first down, and then we take a play action shot to Shakir and hit a deep pass to Kincaid over the top, which they do the hurry up and come up and hurry up and hand it off to Ty Johnson. Not only Denver thought it was going to get challenged or reviewed too, so they weren't even like set up. So when they did the hurry up play, Ty Johnson gets 8 yards on the play because they weren't ready for it. We then hand off again to James Cook, get the first down for 4. Took a deep shot to Coleman. I thought he almost was going to be able to come down with that one. Then we get the 19-yarder to Mac Howens. And again, like, they call him for emphatically stepping over. He just beat Patrick Surtain in single coverage. Like, what do you want? Look, it was a great catch and a great play. So that moves us back 15, which in this spot isn't the end of the world because we're trying to milk more clock. So then we go back. We're now at 1st and 10 at the 18. We get another penalty on illegal shifts, so now it's 1st and 15 at the 23. We probably, again, we take, just in case anyone thinks that we weren't playing aggressive, they take another deep shot to Mac Howens there instead of running the ball on 1st and 15. With 5 minutes left, you probably would have been better off running the ball and just letting the clock run. Next play, we do run it to Ty Johnson, make them take a timeout, run it again, make them take a timeout, kick another field goal. Now we're up 31-7, and then let them milk out the rest of the clock as they're going. And we actually get an interception for DeMar Hamlin that gets overturned. It was on 4th down, so it didn't matter. We got the ball back anyways.
Yeah.
But ends it here. Then we do get Mitchie time. They hand it off a couple times, get it down to the 2-minute warning. 3 Trubisky kneel downs. He's back in the negative yards again, which is fun.
Those are my favorite plays. Mitch Trubisky kneel downs.
Yeah.
It's sign of a good day, Greg.
Yeah. So awesome day. Really happy for you and Eric to be able to be there, and that it was cold but nice weather. Great experience to be there. 31-7 is a dominant play. Couple quick ones here in the chat. Troy had asked, what is the difference between a real ball and a K ball? Think about an opposite Brady. So when Brady did the deflate gate because he wanted to have better grip, the K ball is they pick a couple of balls that they inflate to the largest limit you're allowed to inflate an NFL ball. So if you think about Deflategate was the spectrum of like the acceptable range that you could inflate or deflate a ball, he wanted it deflated because it was better grip. Kickers want it inflated to the max because you get the maximum bounce off of the ball when you kick it. You get the thump. So they have a handful of balls. I can't remember if it's 3 or 5. I might ask Reed. And they have those balls. They also don't do the conditioning that they do beforehand with the special mud and the rubbing and the scuffing it up that they do before games. They don't do that with the K balls. They want them hard and firm to get as much bounce as possible.
Yeah.
So that's what she said.
Yeah.
So they want to go through and get those, and after every single punt the snapper goes down to get it because they want to keep those over special so they don't get mixed in with the regular game balls. So that's what Reed was doing.
I think that happened one time like a last year maybe or something. Reed, like a fan got mad, but he was like, no, we need that ball. Like somebody threw the ball out to the fan and he's like, no, we got to get that back. Like we only have so many of those per game. So good on Reed. Yeah, that's weird that he got.
Yeah. Couple other questions here for the next game. So now obviously we know what's going on.
No. We're not talking next game. I'm trying to enjoy the day, guys.
Oh, no, just some questions that came in the chat of where those things are. So I did look up right now. The weather is a little bit colder next week. As of right now, it's supposed to be 22. That can obviously change. It's supposed to be 22, a little bit cloudy, not much wind, and some snow leading up during the week. But as of now, not supposed to snow on the day of the game. So we'll see where that goes. What is your prediction here? Sean is asking, this game has to be Sunday night, right? I don't remember. I think division round, they start with like the 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock thing that they do during the conference championship. I think they might start that next week. So I think the Saturday, Sunday is a lock because Houston played on Saturday and KC was on bye. So the Houston KC game will be on Saturday. The Bills Ravens will be on Sunday. I will be shocked if it's not the second game because like Lamar versus Josh, two top MVP candidates. That has to be their wet dream of a game. So whether it's at 4:00 or 6:30, I don't remember which one right now. I think 6:30 sounds right, but I think Sean's spot on. This has to be the late game of whatever next Sunday
Yeah,
is.
that's what I said on the way. We were talking on the way home, and it's like, dude, it's got to be. This is exactly what the NFL wanted it to play out. And I would think that they would put this on whatever they consider the prime spot of the weekend. And yeah, I think that you're right that the Saturday ones are already booked, and that would stink to give these teams a shorter week
There's just
anyway.
no
Even if
reason.
they
Why
didn't,
would you move? Why would you give Houston an extra day's rest and
yeah,
KC
it wouldn't
coming
make
off a
any
bye? There's
sense.
zero chance. That part I'm certain of. The
Yeah,
Saturday Sunday part I'm certain of. Whether it's technically the early game, whether it's 1 or 3 o'clock, I don't remember which one they do in the division round. They definitely do that in the conference championship. So whether it's the early game or late game, I don't know for sure. My guess is they very much want it to be the
I
late
think
game.
it's got to be the late game.
And Bryant, giving it to you here, Aaron. I know you have the Ravens making the Super Bowl. Does that mean you think it's going to be a Bills loss?
So like it's a tough thing, right? Because like picking the Super Bowl is like you're just picking against the whole field.
Yeah.
And I
And they are playing the best of any team in the league, right? They're
yeah,
playing great.
I think it's like the Bills win 4 out of 10. Maybe is where I feel right now, and that could be 4 out of 10. Could be Sunday.
I,
Like
I just need one of those four to be Sunday.
yeah, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's 5 out of 10. I don't think it's more. I don't think the Bills have the advantage, and we'll get into the matchup this week. I'm not
I'll
ready
say
to get in there, but
if all 10 games are in Buffalo, I think it is 5 out of 5. I think it's a
five
very
out of 10.
close to a split.
Yeah,
I do think there's a genuine home field advantage. Obviously, we're undefeated all season
sure.
at home with
Yeah.
a dominant point differential. So I do think it's close
Do we
here,
have
but
early lines on that game? Is there
I think I saw 1.5. That was the one. The Bills by 1.5, which means on a neutral field they think the Ravens are like a 1 point
one? Yeah,
favorite.
it's a coin
One
flip.
2 point
So they're
favorite.
saying
So
the same thing that we are, that it's
yeah,
5 out of 5 at
yeah,
home,
they very
basically.
much have it right there. So yeah, right now it's still 1.5. The Ravens are getting 1.5. The Bills are minus one and a
Yeah.
half, and I don't expect that to move a lot. Maybe it goes to -1 or a pick 'em even.
I'll tell you what
I
can't
don't expect
happen.
that to move
They
dramatically.
can't have the game script they just had, and do
I started a
where
little
you
faster.
give up a touchdown and then take a
No.
field goal to start a game. That ain't gonna cut it, so they gotta get that better to start.
We'll talk
Um,
about it Wednesday. I won't, but
yeah,
I have a different feeling. I think I sacrifice the double dip. I think I want the ball first against
just get
Baltimore.
it. Yeah,
I
we'll have
think I
to
want
talk
the ball
about it, yeah.
first.
I
Yeah.
am not, like, I will dive in hard on Tuesday into the Ravens.
Yeah.
I know who
Enjoy
they
this.
are. I
Enjoy
know who the
this.
freaking Ra I know who the Ravens are. I'm gonna savor this, man. These are dude, I know people call it loser mentality, Greg, and all that stuff,
Playoff
but
wins are awesome.
we
We've
suffered
won
through
a
the
playoff game
drought.
5 straight years. This
Yeah,
is so
and
cool.
you know what stinks about this though, man, is like I know again I'll get called the Sean McDermott homer for this, but like there's no good scenario for the people that want to be haters. Like the Bills were expected to win this game, so winning the game isn't enough. But like, dude, blowing out a playoff team is still awesome. Winning a playoff game is still awesome. I get it's not the ultimate goal that we had, but you can't make me not enjoy these moments. I had so much fun today with 70,000 of my friends singing Mr. Brightside. Like you can't take it away from me. I'm gonna savor every minute of it. And we'll get into the Ravens next week. I am Nervous Mafia. Me and RJ are gonna probably be leading the Nervous Mafia train here this week, but not until Tuesday. You can't make me.
Enjoy every second of this. I can't wait to see the film breakdown. I can't wait to see all the guys here with the shows. You can watch the air raid hour, under review, roundup, disguised coverage, the film room. All of us this week is going to be fantastic. Aaron and I will be back here with some of our friends you already know from our Baltimore brethren, getting ready for this huge,
Yeah.
huge breakdown. But until then, I'm going to be enjoying every single second of this playoffs victory. On behalf of fantastic producer Chris Kepner and my co-host and partner in crime Aaron Quinn, you have been listening to Cover One Buffalo. We have been brought to you by West Herr, and we are out.